I'm Sam.
I'm Hillary. I'm McKenna.
I'm Ashley.
And we're the Good News Pod.
Welcome back to the Good News Pod, where we keep you up to date on the people and activities of Goodwill, Southeast Georgia. And we are starting off Season 2.
Wow, Season 2 coming at ya. So excited.
That's right. And there's a lot to be excited about this year. Number one being it is our 60th anniversary coming up this year, our 60th year of service in this community.
That's amazing. I mean,
Wow.
talk about a huge milestone that we're celebrating. Happy birthday, us.
Happy birthday, Goodwill, Southeast Georgia. For those who may not know, if you're familiar with Goodwill, each individual Goodwill organization is run and operated independently. And so Goodwill, Southeast Georgia has been serving our coastal community for 60 years now. And that's incredible. What a journey we've had over the last 60 years. And we are excited to be celebrating with you all year. It's not just one day. It's not just 1 month. It is all year as we celebrate and complete this 60th year of service.
That's right. And you may have already noticed some of our beautiful visual identity rolling out. Thank you, McKenna, for that
So
great
pretty.
design. And just as we move on throughout the months to come, you know, not only is it going to be events, but we're going to be hearing stories of the people we've served, the people we've impacted, our partners, people who have worked with us, all coming back to show really the mission of good that we have to help people reach their goals and to reach that brighter future.
And I love the thought of these 60 unique voices either coming back or telling their tales of how they're engaging with us now. And it really does kind of signify that tagline that we have, that a legacy of impact, 60 years, and all the people that we've been able to kind of touch and who have touched Goodwill and helped Goodwill grow. And I'm so excited to hear each of those stories and kind of how they folded into the Goodwill story overall.
Yeah, and as we continue telling these stories and bringing in new voices, we're doing that here on the podcast as well. We are so excited to welcome our first external guest from out in the community, Marge VonLehmden from House of Vaughn. She's a professional organizer. And Hillary and McKenna, you're there on the main couch. So Sam and I are going to step out of the way here and let Marge come in and share her story.
All right, well, let's get Marge in here and have a conversation. I'm so excited that we have a special guest with us here today for this month's podcast, Marge VonLehmden from House of Vaughn. Marge, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great way to kick off the new year.
It is. And so for those who may not know, House of Vaughn is a professional organizing company. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how this kind of became your career and your passion?
Absolutely. So I am the fourth of 5 kids, big Catholic family in Texas. And I think from the time I was as old as I can remember, I was drawing a line down the middle of my room I shared and reorganizing. And it just became something I really did because I have a lot of nervous energy. I just am always kind of moving. And so when I would go see my friends in college in their dorm room, it just naturally gets a little picked up. But I never thought it could be a business. I knew it was in the family of interior design, but I just was nervous it couldn't happen. And kind of like all big decisions, it sometimes takes a push. So in a previous life, I was a pharmaceutical rep. I then went and sold forklifts and allied rack to the ports. Is probably one of my favorite sales jobs. I ran a furniture store. So I kind of had done a bunch of things, and I was looking to get back into pharmaceuticals to have a more part-time lifestyle. My second son had been born, and with the furniture store, I was working weekends. So it was great to get some quality time back. Yeah. But I was laid off, or all of us nationwide were laid off within 2 weeks of being hired. So I looked at my husband and I said, give me 6 months. And if I can make this work, if not, I'll get another job. And at that point, I had lived in Savannah 15 years. So I had really built a community, knew a lot of people, and was just willing to do it without kind of a written manual. So that push in 2017 really proved that, A, it was something that Savannah could sustain. And thankfully, so it's 7 years, and it's been wonderful. It really, as much as I give to my clients, I get back in the joy of helping others.
I'm sure all your friends in college that you visited were very happy to see you coming, helping them.
The roommates
Straighten up
still
those-
give me a
those
hard
moments.
time about how much I used to wipe down the countertops, but you know.
I can say, having had lots of roommates, I'm sure it was very much appreciated.
So
That's exciting.
For someone feeling overwhelmed, what are some simple and actionable steps that they can take to get started organizing?
I mean, probably one of the simplest things, and it sounds silly, is grab a piece of paper and a pen. And organizing is really all about breaking it down into categories. And to me, the best, like, let's give the example of your child's room. Okay, start with trash,
Yes.
dishes that go, and I put that under the category of like needs to relocate. It
There you
belongs
go.
somewhere else.
I like that.
And pick up dirty laundry. And so it's like when you have those attainable categories, especially like starting with something as simple as trash, you just grab that and you're then check and then on to the next thing, versus without a checklist. And if you happen to have any type of ADHD, which I think we all do, you'll get distracted and move to a different category before you finished the trash or before you finished the dirty dishes. So I really think sticking to a checklist and time.
That's a good tip.
And then lastly, just to make it more fun, like, you know, carve out the time, turn on fun music, because it is a different type of brain where you could listen to music or even have the TV on while you do it, so that it doesn't feel as daunting.
Yeah, less work when you're having a good time.
Right.
It's
But
different.
also, you know, I'm going to do this for an hour or I'm going to do this for 20 minutes. Then it's like a focused time, because typically what happens with most people is as they're putting something away, they get distracted and go on to another task,
Yes.
and nothing ever really gets completed. So I really feel like a blueprint is the way to keep you on task.
I like
totally
that.
Agree. I have the same problem too. I start a task and then immediately just think of something else.
Right.
And go, so having a list would definitely.
And a lot of it is you're getting excited about it. You're like, yes, like, oh my gosh, I haven't
Getting
worn
it
these
done.
clothes, and let's move on to this. And then all of a sudden you're in the shoes. So a lot of times my role is really just helping the client sustain. Typically what happens at some point is decision fatigue. And I just see it. They're gone. No one's there. They don't want to tell me keep or get rid of.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why having a coach or someone do it with you, a best friend, helps make it fun and can help you with some of those decisions so you're not making all of them. Because, you know, some people will be like, nope, we can do it. Let's get after it. I'm like, okay, but we typically keep sessions to 4 hours, or just because of the fatigue on the client and on the decisions. So start small, start simple, start somewhere that's, you know, your bathroom where there's no emotional attachments. It's just empty shampoo bottles and, you know, so
Yes.
that also helps, starting with a category and getting a win. You have this tidy bathroom now.
Right.
Maybe then you're ready to go through your photo collection. That's obviously more emotional and
Yeah.
sentimental. So that's the other thing, is kind of breaking out where it falls within your own personal attachment to these items.
That's a really great point, and I think for me personally, I think a lot of it is that, like, the distraction aspect. So having a time limit is a really great option. That's kind of, I think, what you mentioned is a common challenge. Are there other common challenges where people are getting started, and how do you help kind of guide people through within your role as House of Vaughn?
I think the hardest thing, honestly, in our world today is that we are going 90 to nothing all the time.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the stay-at-home spouse and the one working isn't really the norm anymore. And so our home is really wild and chaotic. And it's not just you. It could be whoever you're living with or your children. So it's also getting buy-in from the family or creating a system that everyone can do. That is not, I mean, I love all the pretty pictures and rainbow colored books, but I don't know that a 3-year-old knows, or a 6-year-old even knows, let's put these all together. So it's, you
Or
know,
put
with
them back
any,
ever.
with any system, like making it real world
Yeah.
is also just the key.
real world. That's a really good point. I think you can have a beautiful system, but
Yes.
if nobody can maintain it, then you're right back to where you started.
Right.
It's a really good point.
You talked a lot about donating on your website and social media. How do you help people decide what to donate versus what to keep?
Well, I definitely years ago did a presentation at a school, and I brought in an empty Monopoly, a Monopoly game, and the board was broken, and there were barely any pieces, and half the money was missing. And I said to the kids, "Would you like this?" And of course, no one raised their hand. So that's where that needs to be recycled for either upcycling, like art and things like that. That Savannah has a ton of programs. I just always say, like, picture yourself receiving this bag. And if it was folded clothes nicely, you would feel so empowered. But if it's mixed in with, like, a dirty sock or a t-shirt with, like, stains, that's not what Goodwill is here to do. Like, we're not giving people garbage. They're coming to buy new treasures and new things and give things new life. And so, it's just sometimes finding that other person and having them picture it, that they can then see, like, oh, they are going to be really excited to receive this. It's not just getting thrown away.
Right, and I think that's a good distinction too between things that you're getting rid of that are very much usable and ready for a new life or to go and kind of have purpose elsewhere, but then there are things that are just simply to get rid of.
Yes.
That's a really good point, and I think that perspective is helpful even going through our own stuff. Do you have any tips for when people are going through their homes or we're going through our homes, how you can incorporate sustainability into everyday life, especially when kind of creating these systems in your home?
Well, the number one rule, and I'm sure if some of you follow organizing things, don't buy supplies until you have gotten rid of things, because I base supplies on quantity. But the number one step is going to be to reduce quantity so that it's more attainable. So going into it with the mindset in the beginning of we just need to get things out of here is separate from then creating the system. And then when you do create a system for sustainability, I love things that if it works in a bathroom, it could work in a kitchen. If it works in a kitchen, so that these baskets or items you're buying to contain, which really do lead to the system. Like if you take, for example, a Lazy Susan.
Yes.
And we put our spices in that, and it stays organized because there's only so much can fit in the circle. And when things can't fit in the circle, you either have too many or it needs to go elsewhere. And so that's a really simplified way to think about why containers and labels help, but it really does give you a visual of when your quantity, you just can't keep bringing things in without things going out.
So exactly, that Lazy Susan is such a good example because you can only fit so much.
And just, like when it's time to pick up, if everyone in the family had a small basket to go around the house, it's just something physical to hold it that then can be, your next project. And so I do get some clients who they fill the basket, and then when I come, there might be 10 baskets that have all made it to one place. Or I call them the piles of doom.
Yes.
Some people use like a grocery sack. Piles of doom.
Yeah.
You've started, and then you just get overwhelmed. And that's where an outside opinion is really so vital to just pushing you through it, because some of these tasks aren't fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very mundane work, and typically sometimes you're organizing spaces that aren't yours in the house, your children or your spouse. And so there's that sense of dauntingness when it isn't as fun as,
It is
other
a lot easier
tasks.
to get rid of other people's things than it is to get rid of your
It
own.
is, for sure.
Are there any items that you've gotten from Goodwill that you love for organizing?
I do, I as someone, I'm a big plant nerd. And on a lot of the little Instagrams I follow and things like that, they are really big into it'll be like a beautiful, expensive china plate, but it's really being used as the drip pan for the plant. And just kind of that outside of the box, oh, this is a a crystal vase that belonged, to hold flowers, I have it in my bathroom holding cotton balls.
Yeah.
So to me, it's adding also that charm of new things, like a clear bin that is obviously pretty boring, or even just a woven basket. But, finding things like old kitchen cookie tins and things like that. So there's a lot of repurposing of products, and that's where, like I said, you don't need supplies when you're getting started. And then my second spot would be, what do you already have? I mean, like the apple boxes that people don't throw away.
Yeah.
Those are perfect. They're so thick. Throw away the insert inside of it. But those are great boxes. Shoe boxes. So a lot of those things. I mean, I had someone gift us with pears, pears for Christmas, but the box is already divided, and so I kept it, and I'm using it to put the ornaments in before I put it in the attic. So just kind of seeing things through new life.
When you're separating things out into categories, do you have kind of a standard that you use, like trash, relocate? I think is how you said it. Or are there other keep, consider, kind of what? How do you break that down?
The beginning part is just separating. So think of yourself, if you're like me, when I eat M&Ms or Skittles, I have to separate the colors. I cannot eat them all together. So once they're separated, then the next step is, I like red best. And so they have a ranking. So it's kind of we did your clothing, and especially if I'm with a client, sometimes I'm putting away the things I already know most likely will be trash, or, just need to live. They've had their good times. So that there's easy decisions. You want some quick, easy decisions, and limit the number of, oh my gosh, my mom gave me that, or I just bought that and spent a lot of money. Saving those hard decisions to the end, and is really the way to keep yourself motivated and on task.
What's new in your business coming up?
It is so great. Especially, I love change. I thrive on change. And so I really never know what's around the corner. I will say last year, I did a handful of downsizing and moves. And it was really such an eye-opener of when you do get such a plethora of stuff that it is so smart to get rid of before you move, so that your move-in process is so much better. And it really helps me kind of see the way we as people are reusing things, or no, we want, a new system. And it is an interesting kind of shift. As a proud Gen Xer, the younger millennials don't have the same attachment that the older generations do, and aren't wanting their mom to save everything for them. And that's been a challenge in my business, and really trying to let my clients know that, I come from a huge family. My grandmother, we didn't, there was nothing passed down. So I like being able to go to Goodwill and find new glasses or new dishes, where some people might have inherited those kinds of things, where, but it's really just understanding there's a whole sector of people out there that are benefiting from your donations.
I like that. That's a good perspective. And you're right, everybody's so different, coming to it with different motivations of downsizing, or shifting perspectives, making room for new things. If you have somebody coming to you to work with you for the first time, what should they know before they get started with working with a professional organizer?
That every organizer I've ever met is very similar to me, and this part of our job is like a business, and so there isn't the judgment. We are all in this, and trust me, I promise, my house, there are parts of my house that I am the cobbler's, whatever the cobbler's saying with the kids with no shoes. That is definitely, it's so I feel like that common bond of we're all living fast, everyone's front door kind of looks like a bomb went off, there's no ego, privacy. As much as I put on Instagram, I'm not putting your befores. I am not, showing things that would, be private. And so because there can be emotion involved, and it can be tough, and just knowing that the organizer is really your teammate and there to help, not to judge. The buy-in from the community, understanding that it really does improve your life and make your day-to-day routines easier is just a win for everybody.
That's awesome. Well, I am so grateful for you coming in to chat with us today. January is new year, new start, and we love all of the insights that you've shared with us today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Man, wasn't she just great? Like, as someone who's moving soon in 2 months, in fact, hearing all those tips and tricks and when to donate and when to gently push somewhere else is always really fun. And I know I will be donating very soon with all of the stuff that I'm going to be going through and not getting rid of, but having someone else enjoy.
That's right. Passing them on for a new experience. And I really like what Marge had to say about kind of breaking things up into smaller categories and making it a little bit less intense or overwhelming when you're going through that organizing process. That's a challenge that I know I face. And so I thought she brought some really helpful, handy tips.
Yeah, picking out things that you think that someone would actually need and want and use.
Well, I really loved how Marge, just throughout her interview, she kept coming back to new life. And I think that was so funny considering that, our ongoing campaign now for just over a year now has been new lives, and showing how by giving an item new life, you're giving new life to someone's career or their next goal or, really whatever journey that they're on. So that was cool to hear that echoed in her message as well.
It's a nice kind of circular, yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Full circle moment along with that. And I think Marge was just so lovely to come here and chat with us today. And we know a lot of you might be going through your homes right now, doing the January kind of get organized. And we hope that through this conversation with Marge and through the great tips that we are sharing across our social media and our blog, that you have some inspiration and some motivation to kind of get organized and start 2025.
Yeah.
That's right. And there's so much to be looking forward to with the new year. A lot of people are getting a new start, and we've got a lot that we're working on. So anybody want to share what they're excited about coming up over the next month or so?
I know I'm really looking forward to our Palentine's sip and shop that's happening. I think it's so cool. We shut down the store for 2 hours. We have our lovely customers come in and kind of get to look at curated racks all to themselves and enjoy some food and some wine and it's a fun time for you to just hang out with you and your pal or Valentine and just come hang out with us and shop without anyone else there except for like the 20 other people that bought tickets.
It's such a great exclusive event. I love that, Sam. I am looking forward to our DEIB Unity Squad is actually going to be participating in the Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade downtown Savannah. So we'll have a great group from our Goodwill Unity Squad walking in the parade and really honoring the life and remembering the impact that Dr. Martin Luther King had on the world.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about our Something Blue event, which is happening in February 1st and 2nd. It's a Saturday and Sunday. We're going to have hundreds and hundreds of gowns, wedding dresses, prom dresses, formal wear. We have all the accessories, jewelry, shoes, anything you could think of at a really great price. So it's definitely worth the drive. It's going to be in Savannah this year. So we're super excited about
I
that.
love that event.
Oh, it's so great every year.
I'm trying to figure out where someone can take me where I need
I
a
know.
formal wear dress.
We need an event.
Yeah, so definitely get that date in your calendars now. February 1st and 2nd, like McKenna said, at our Savannah Opportunity Center. And just, another thing with the new year is our commitment to 60 hours of service in alignment with our 60 years of service here in the community. And one of the first opportunities that we're doing collectively as a group to take part in that is participating in Read United in partnership with United Way. And that's been a really cool event. We've actually been participating for a few years now. And so this has really become something that folks here at Goodwill look forward to, going out into our community, reading to the students. I know all of us had a chance to do that last year. And it was just so fun seeing the kids and getting to experience the joy that they have just having someone visit their classroom and share something new with them, and knowing that at the end of the day they get to go home with a new book too. So very excited for that.
I love that, and I can't wait to see other opportunities that we have throughout the year to kind of complete that 60 hours of service and really finding meaningful ways that we can continue to give back to the community that we serve and that we all share together.
That's right, and I couldn't really think of a better way to wrap it up. So that is the last word from the Good News Pod. We hope that you keep doing good with Goodwill.